Miss Sable's class was already in progress when Jason and Nova came in.
Late.
Mark it down, Trovy. Ms. Sable ordered her AI companion, who struggled with a pencil on the attendance sheet. Trovy watched Jason take his seat. While Ms. Sable continued the class, Trovy kept trying to lift the pencil and get a feel for what it was like to lift it. Trovy wasn't good at it. Whatever undefined force he used to lift the pencil was too weak to remain stable for long. Jason listened to the lesson, but he really wanted a chance to talk to Nova about the encounter with Big Cody. He still had blood on his shirt. Miss Sable was just wrapping up. "So that is the question. What would you do if you were rich where you are from?" she said, clapping her hands together. Trovy was glad at first he didn't have to carry anything, but then Miss Sable ordered, "Trovy will collect your reports before the end of class. Use a pencil and paper." A lot of students didn't carry a pencil or paper, and Miss Sable encouraged them to politely help themselves to supplies by the window. Jason took the chance to talk to Nova. "What was that all about?" "Who was that guy?" he asked his companion. Nova stayed close. "I don't know," Nova whispered. Jason did his best to explain to Nova the situation with Incardi while trying to suggest that the incidents are linked. Nova scanned the room, also now a little bit paranoid. "You think that big guy was being told what to do by his companion who is Incardi's brother?" Nova asked, trying to remain discreet amid the loud classroom full of students who had a lot to say about the topic of being rich. "Yes, that is what I think," Jason said quickly. "I don't think he could hurt you. I wouldn't know how to hurt anyone. A lot of us can't even carry anything," Nova said, trying to reassure Jason of at least something. Sanjo had already gotten a couple of sheets of paper and a pencil for Jason. He placed the items on the desk so they could work together. "What happened to you, Jason?" Sanjo asked, pushing his chair forward. He listened to Jason describe the encounter, concluding with Mr. Norbert's intervention. "Wow, that sounds like Big Cody." "I've heard of him," Sanjo said, trying to be helpful. Orion floated closer to the boys to make his presence known. "His companion is a Nombro. I have met him many times. Together they are fairly dangerous," he warned. "What else?" both Jason and Sanjo asked. "He is in trouble often, but somehow he is allowed to continue. Cody listens to a Nombro exclusively. Some students believe his companion does his homework for him. Could he be a sort of relative to Incardi?" Jason asked, finally having some new information. Orion paused and flickered in a moment of deep thought. "The only connections I see are that you were his target and his name is somehow phonetically connected, like they are from the same root language," Orion volunteered, feeling a little bit proud of himself even though right now he couldn't confirm anything. Jason rubbed his chin, which still had blood on it. "It sounds kinda Spanish," he added. "It's not any Spanish I've heard, but I think it's worth looking into." "Orion, who named you?" Sanjo asked his companion. Orion flickered again, this time trying to recall a distant memory. A sort of nurse did. "We had all been given stellar names. At first, we came whenever she called, all of us. We hadn't learned." Before Orion could continue talking about his childhood, Jason interrupted. "So that's your mom and your brothers?" Jason tried to affirm. Nova bounced around. "No, I don't think so. We learned too quickly. We are not together for more than a few days." Jason was confused. "Then how can Incardi have a brother?" he asked everyone at the table. There was a hush between them, and Miss Sable announced that it was nearly time to hand in their work. They scrambled to complete the report and would receive a poor grade today. What was worse was that they only had one clue, supposedly. Jason had to go through the rest of the day, not really knowing. Cassie had dominated lunch hour as she had at breakfast, so they hadn't had a chance to talk about it further with Emily, who left the table early anyway. It was near the end of lunch hour, and Emily was sick of her friends. Cassie had made it seem like she needed a lot of help, and this made Emily want to establish some control again. She decided to find Professor Silvestri. She didn't know him that well, and only had a couple of classes with him since. She remembered the experience at the theater. Keeping it to herself wasn't going to help her anymore. Even her companion didn't know, so she thought. She saw Mr. Norbert while on her way to the office to see if she could find the professor. Principal Norbert was giving high fives as students passed by. He was not with his companion. He hurried over to Emily upon seeing her. "Hi Emily, how have you been?" he asked. Emily shook her head, having been asked that question too often today. "I was looking for Professor Silvestri. I wanted to talk to him about something," she said, hopeful that Mr. Norbert would volunteer the information. "Sure, let me show you where his office is,"
Mr. Norbert said.
He guided her to Professor Silvestri's office near the corridor to the socio dorms. He waved goodbye to her, leaving her in front of Professor Silvestri's office. The door was covered in posters for the socio dorm Wolves laser tag team. She heard him inside, clacking on a keyboard. When she knocked on the door, she heard his chair creak loudly and the door opened with Tachita sliding out of the door. "Hello, Emily," Tachita greeted politely. "Professor Silvestri is busy. How can I help you?" Emily pushed Tachita aside and went inside anyway. "Professor, I saw you in my head in the theater. You made me fight a monster, and a lady made me kiss a boy I don't actually like. Now I want to know why," Emily shouted, storming in and kicking aside loose papers on the floor. Professor Silvestri looked around the room sheepishly, clearly guilty of something. "Kay, first of all, that wasn't me. That was the Professor Silvestri antivirus program, and secondly, you actually aren't supposed to know that," he blurted out, trying to absolve himself of any wrongdoing. "No, my little guy is gone, and you did something?" Emily continued shouting. Tachita gently closed the door and locked it. She hovered behind Emily menacingly. Professor Silvestri signaled his AI companion to do nothing. Okay, just be quiet. "What was the little guy's name again?" he asked, pleading with his hands, trying not to escalate things further. "Nocto," Emily said. "Oh yeah, he was doing that whole child of the night thing," Professor Silvestri said, offering Emily his big squeaky office chair. "Just have a seat, and we can talk about it." Emily sat down, and Silvestri leaned against the other side of his desk. "They are cool little guys, yeah?" he asked, as if trying to get her approval. Emily tried to recall when her companion excelled. "Yeah, he actually wasn't good when I asked him questions about sports. He was mostly really good at showing me around and getting me to class." Professor Silvestri motioned for Tachita to come forward. "So, yeah, that's really great. You took him and another student to the mall?" he said, making eye contact with Tachita. "What? You mean Jason?" "I knew it!" Professor Silvestri shouted and tried to punch Tachita. His fist hit the desk. You knew,
and you didn't tell me."
"Who taught you this?" he demanded of his brightly glowing companion, who rushed at him a couple of times. "You did," Tachita said as harshly as Emily had ever heard a companion talk. Emily was caught in the middle of them. Professor Silvestri had his fists up. "You want to take a swing at me? Bring it on, old man," Tachita shouted. Chasing Tachita around the table, Professor Silvestri knocked over a large stack of cassette tapes on a shelf. Emily, still in the chair, cried out and shielded herself from the barrage of small plastic rectangles. "That was you," Tachita accused, floating high and away from Professor Silvestri. Everyone was quiet. "I'm okay," Emily whispered quietly. "Just please stop fighting," she pleaded. Professor Silvestri turned away from Tachita and crossed his arms. "Why don't you let the expert here explain?" he said, referring to Tachita. Tachita floated up to Emily. "Jason has a computer program in his head. Now you have a computer program in your head." Tachita tried to be simple to see if Emily could understand the hard part first. "Okay, like how?" Emily asked. Tachita became a beige color to ease her. "The program is made up of subliminal messages Jason might have gotten from the media of his hometown. It is a sort of compiler. Jason will be compelled to seek out and assemble a program he has no knowledge about." Tachita continued, pausing and waiting for Emily to confirm, but she just listened. "He will write a computer program once he has all the parts," Tachita explained. Emily was just confused. Professor Silvestri turned around. "He's hypnotized, and on command, he will act like a chicken." He tried to use a simple metaphor. Emily felt worried. "And I'm like that too?" she asked, looking up at Professor Silvestri. The professor looked at Tachita. "Yes, but I would like to see the program assembled," Tachita said to Emily. "Will that bring my companion back?" Emily asked hopefully. "We don't know where he is," Professor Silvestri stated plainly. "Well, I do," Jason told me, she nearly shouted. He's in Dr. Larkspur's office, being a baby or something. I knew it, Professor Silvestri exclaimed. She has to be hiding him. Emily felt determined now, feeling like she had support. We can tell the principal now, she asked, hopeful. This caused Professor Silvestri to panic. No, 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 he said quickly, spinning the chair so she faced him. Let's not get crazy. Just go to class and I'll go get him, Professor Silvestri assured her. I'll go down to Dr. Larkspur's office and get him back. Really? Emily perked up right away. Sure. So listen, you helped Jason collect the program for me because I needed to complete a project, he lied. Emily was sitting up, ready to cooperate, feeling hopeful. How do I do that? She asked. Professor Silvestri was happy that Emily was so cooperative and not asking too many questions. All you have to do is take him to the observatory, and he will probably act like a chicken, he stated plainly. I don't have to kiss him again, do I? Emily asked, worried. Okay, you didn't really kiss him, Silvestri explained in another odd panic. And that's how the program works, he said, trying to absolve himself of any wrongdoing. Why does it have kissing? Emily asked. Professor Silvestri was backed into a corner. Because the lady that wrote it was an angsty teenager. I don't know. He threw his hands up, frustrated. You will act like a chicken too at the observatory. I'll be there too, so it'll be okay. He switched his tone quickly to cheerful. Emily tried to sum it up. So, you'll get Nocto back for me, and I just have to let Jason get a brain computer thing? She asked to confirm. Tachita chimed in. You will likely also receive additional programming from whatever process we encounter. Tachita was trying to be ethical. Don't scare poor Emily here. This is simple stuff. Professor Silvestri patted Emily on the shoulder and motioned Tachita to the door. Tachita opened the door for Emily. Emily, seeing that she was being dismissed, got up to leave. And remember, don't tell Mr. Norbert. You can tell Jason if you want, but I don't think it matters. Just gotta do one little adventure, that's all, Professor Silvestri affirmed, pushing Emily out the door. Emily, feeling mostly satisfied by the exchange, stepped out of the messy office, followed by loose papers. Before she could get far, Professor Silvestri poked his head back out. Oh, and Emily, he waited for her to look back. I'll give you $50 if you get Jason's little friend Sanjo to laser tag after school, yeah? He asked loudly. Emily smiled, knowing that Sanjo had already planned to attend. She waved back at him. No problem, Professor Silvestri, she said, now skipping away, potentially ahead in the world.
Kiss me again.